Okay, so how many of you are grateful that your seat is down there and not up on this stage right now, right? This morning, what I want to share comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 22. It's what we commonly refer to as the Last Supper, where Jesus is sharing the Passover meal with his disciples. In verse 19, he takes the bread, gives thanks, breaks it, and gives it to them to eat. I want to highlight here, he gives thanks. See, Jesus is fully aware that this is his last meal and that his life is about to be taken from him. Yet even knowing this pain, he gives thanks. I've sat in these seats for 13 years now. I've cried, I've prayed, I've worshiped. I've bowed in reverence to a God who is at work in my life, even when all I felt was pain. I sat back there one Saturday evening. It was the day after a D&C surgery left me with an empty womb and a broken heart. Days later, I faced the reality of the pathology results. It was a rare pregnancy that doesn't result in an embryo, but a cluster of cells that actually pose a risk for cancer. While grieving the loss of our expected son or daughter, I had no idea I'd be facing a possibility of cancer. I felt fear, I felt doubt, I felt uncertainty. But in that time, I also felt his presence like nothing I can explain. And I heard his voice, a gentle whisper that can only be identified as the Holy Spirit. It was asking me to trust. 14 months later, I sat inside a doctor's office exam room, staring at a blank ultrasound screen. There would be no baby this time. And I asked God why he would ask me to trust, only to experience this pain. Going back to Luke 22, one of the last commands Jesus gives his disciples is to do this in remembrance of me, to take the bread, give thanks, and remember. The Greek word here is Eucharistio. It's the Lord's Supper, communion. It's more than just a Sunday ritual. It's where we take time to pause and remember Christ's work on our behalf. Because sometimes it's so hard to see how God is leading us. But when we take time to pause and reflect, we can see how those tiny steps of faith, those small moments of saying yes to God, have actually carried us to where we are today. This fall, our family will welcome our 5th child. It's a girl, and her name will be Charis, the root word of Eucharist, which means grace. Because I can look back and remember the pain of the loss, but now I can clearly see how a sovereign and omniscient God was at work in my life and reminding me of the finished work he completed on the cross. And one day we will share the stories of those lost pregnancies with our children and how God strengthened our faith. And there are so many more stories that are our family legacy. It's the same legacy Jesus leaves with his disciples in that upper room during their last meal together. It's a legacy of giving thanks, remembering where God has brought us, and then learning to trust him every step of the way, even when it hurts. This Mother's Day, you may find yourself in a season of pain, questioning how you can choose thanks given your circumstances. You may recognize you've heard that gentle whisper, the voice of the Holy Spirit, yet you've allowed fear to push it away. Or you may be overwhelmed by God's grace and goodness in your life, wherever this day finds you. I encourage you, take time and pause, reflect. Remember where God's brought you, and then step forward, fully trusting that he will carry you through. Thank you.